The best of the best. Right across Australia. The best of the John Laws Week.
Another John Laws Week on the radio. You listen to the man with the golden microphone. You got it all. There were laughs, there was news, and a tear or two. There were good vibrations coming right through to you. Through your radio. This is what he said. This is what he did. This is why you laughed. This is why you cried. This is how Lawsy kept you in the know. It happened this week on the John Laws Morning Show. Australia.
Vile anti-Semitic messages of hate contained in a series of DVDs. Now, these DVDs denigrate Jewish people in the most dreadful way. Jewish people are labelled pigs. They also incite viewers to commit acts of terror. They urge young people to martyr themselves for jihad. But have a guess what classification this material received from the Office of Film and Literature Classifications. I'll tell you. PG. Parental guidance recommended. Can you believe that? I think probably Forrest Gump was PG. These things are foul. And let me tell you, not only are they insulting to the Jewish community, but they're insulting to the majority of Muslims, who are well-behaved, properly decent people, who certainly would not like to have their name nor their religion associated with this hate stuff that comes off these DVDs. For everybody's sake, they should stop the release of them, and now.
Laws.
Now, tell me, have you had enough when it comes to picking up a newspaper almost every Monday and reading about some footballer who's made a disgrace of himself? Have you had enough of that? I mean, if you haven't had enough of adult sportsmen behaving like stupid little boys, I don't know what it's going to take. Jeff Bond is one of Australia's leading sports psychologists with more than 4 decades of experience looking after elite-level sportsmen and sportswomen.
Sledging's been happening for a long, long time, and I think there are 2 types of sledging, really. I think there's the let's get a competitive advantage on somebody and have a bit of a sling off and see if we can distract him a bit. But then there's that nasty type, which this last one seems to be part of, which for most of us it takes a lot of understanding as to why somebody would say something like that.
God help the real children who are learning their lessons from these pretend grown-ups. God help us all. The general public has had enough. And if it wasn't for the general public, you stupid bastards wouldn't be making the money that you're making. It's the general public that pay your salaries.
This is the best of the Lawsy Week.
Sophie D'Elisio is a little angel. Her ability to defy the odds is quite extraordinary. And so the D'Elisio family have decided to share her story with the rest of Australia in a book called Sophie's Journey. And her daddy, Ron D'Elisio, joins me on the line.
It was very hard. It's always hard to go back in time and relive different things. But I suppose what's been the hardest for me is to read the book, because the book's a compilation of a lot of interviews with a lot of people that were involved with Sophie's accidents, coming from the people at the daycare centre to the firemen that pulled Sophie out from under the car, and the care flight and the child flight helicopter pilots and doctors and surgeons. The reason for doing the book, John, was to celebrate all these professionals that people don't realise how much they actually go through. I must admit there was many tears shed by me reading through the story.
Are you still amazed at her resilience?
Yes, very much so.
It happened this week on the John Laws Morning Show.
Another one of these crazed gunmen taking out dozens of innocent people, in this case at the Virginia Tech University. The campus is littered, apparently, with death. And we can only imagine how appalling the scene is. Our US correspondent Richard Arnold is on the line.
Police and university officials have come out with a number of 33 people, including the shooter, who are now dead, and 15 people who are wounded to the point where they've had to be hospitalised. It was the shooter who was prepared. He had taken with him chains that he used to lock the classroom areas from the inside, so police had to use explosives to get in. He was armed with 2 semi-automatic pistols and clips of ammunition and a bulletproof vest. So again, an indication of how long this had been in the planning in his twisted head.
That is just a horrible, horrible story. 33 confirmed dead, a couple of dozen in hospital, and I imagine some of them critically injured, because by the sound of things, this fella was very haphazard with his shooting. God knows where some of them have been hit. And imagine how the poor wretched parents must be feeling. We've been looking this morning in some depth at the blueprint for industrial relations reform that would be introduced if Labor and Kevin Rudd win the election. On the line we have the Prime Minister of Australia, John Howard.
My view is that it is a pro-union policy with a couple of bones thrown to the business community to give the impression that he's even-handed. And to bring back those darned unfair dismissal laws, that will just send a shiver up the spine of every small businessman in the country, because they were a nightmare.
Out of interest, did you tell Joe Hockey to stop appearing on television with Kevin Rudd?
Look, I have a lot of discussions with Joe Hockey, and as with all of my ministers, and I don't go into them, John.
Do you think they were a bit too chummy together?
Well, I think it's a good thing that the joint appearance has ended, let me put it that way.
Okay, but you didn't interfere with that?
As you would expect, a Prime Minister and a Senior Minister talk a lot, and we don't always think it's appropriate to disclose what we talk about.
I agree with you that he's obviously a good bloke because he took your advice. John, I don't have anything further to add on that.
You're listening to the best of the Lawsy Week.
Norman, good morning.
You are the greatest hypocrite on Sydney radio.
Oh, dear. Oh, goodness
You really
gracious.
are. Listen, for 50 years you've been telling us how you get drunk on your wild turkey with Hendo.
Oh, don't bring poor Hendo into this. I have never said that I don't enjoy a drink. I love a drink. Of course I've been drunk. Haven't you been drunk?
No?
Never.
No,
No.
listen to me. No, you come on. You're even your jingle. You might know what the night before, because you come on. You're probably blind as a skunk, and the next morning.
Well, but listen, I haven't said this morning, Norman, that you shouldn't drink.
An old fart like you for 50 years talking about getting drunk, right? So you come on. Oh, it's bad now, but you get drunk nearly every night.
I mean, what do you know what I do every night? How do you know what I do every night? I had a very quiet dinner last night.
Because you come on the next morning and you tell us your fancy restaurants you've been to, and
Now it's coming out. Oh, you're an old bitch, Norman. You're an old bitch. There's no doubt about you.
Just retire, John.
No, Norman, just let me say something to you. Off. I don't want to retire.
Hey, nobody listened to you then, did they?
When?
The state election. Hey, coming on. Oh, aren't I big? Tell everybody vote Liberal. Hey,
I didn't. Hey, Norman.
You've lost all of your influence, haven't you? Hey.
Norman the moron we've got here. Norman, I didn't tell anybody to vote Liberal.
Oh.
I said I'd be very surprised if people voted Labor, but we were all very surprised about that.
I know, and nobody listened to you, did they? Hey.
Aren't you? Are you little? Are you short by any chance?
Oh, here we go. But goodbye. See you later, you old drunk.
Norman? No, he's gone. Poor Norman. I've been called worse than an old drunk, and of course I've been drunk. Who's going to deny that? I mean, people have seen me drunk. It's not something that I do regularly, but it is something I do very well.
This is what he said, this is what he did, this is why you laughed.